guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow, and I am back with an all-new video. Today's topic is a deep dive behind the veil psychic energy read into Klaus Schwab. So we are not going to be exploring his three-dimensional contributions and the World Economic Forum, which he founded, but we are also going to be exploring if he'd said we would eat the bugs and like them, and if he really does believe that. This and so much more. So if that sounds good to you, please stick around, and if not, maybe I'll catch you at another video. Now, before we get into the psychic energy reading portion on him, we're first going to start by sharing some 3D information into who he is and what his contributions into the material world are. Now, this is information that was very easily attained off of his Wikipedia page, and it is not everything. In full transparency, I just kind of like skimmed through it and I picked out what I thought was most interesting or most notable, both about him and the World Economic Forum page, because both of the Wikipedia pages are rather extensive. And since I think you guys are here for the energy reading and not to just hear me parrot what has been written about somebody, that's what I choose to focus the most amount of attention onto. So just a little bit of 3D information into who he is, but also some additional supplemental information into the World Economic Forum. Because, of course, it's something that I've heard of, but I really didn't know that much about it, so I did do just a little additional research into it, which I will pass along to you. So here we go, some 3D information into Klaus Schwab according to his Wikipedia page. Klaus Martin Schwab, who was born on March 30th, 1938, is a German mechanical engineer, economist, and founder of the World Economic Forum. Now, the World Economic Forum also goes by the WEF, which I will also be referring to it as such. He has acted as the WEF's chairman since founding the organization in 1971. Now, he himself personally has come under some criticism due to the fact that he declared excessively high salaries are, quote, no longer socially acceptable, end quote, but his own annual salary is $1 million. So it's like, what is it? Are excessively high salaries not socially acceptable except for him? Because that's a clear case of rules for thee, but not for me. Now, in addition to that, the World Economic Forum has fallen under criticism due to the fact that they have spoken extensively about climate change and global warming, but they also meet annually in Davos, Switzerland, and the members of the World Economic Forum show up in their private airplanes. So it's like, are we really thinking about our carbon footprint, or do they just want us to think about our carbon footprint? Keep that in mind. In addition to that, they do not pay any federal taxes, and the members of the World Economic Forum have been accused of being detached elites. Beyond that, he has also pushed for all World Economic Forum employees over 50 years old to be pushed out of employment, and a former female employee claimed she too was pushed out of employment when she revealed that she was pregnant, and Schwab had complained that she would not be able to continue working at the same pace that she had previously. So this is a really clear example of a man that is like all about the matrix, all about like productivity above all others. So like no work-life balance. This is just like work, right? Now keep this in mind also, because this is going to come into play when we get into the energy reading portion on him. Now, personally, he has been married for a bunch of years. He has 2 older kids, and I was not actually able to get a very clear estimated net worth for him. Everything that's been reported online has varied very, very wildly, which is, believe it or not, notable, because any time in the past I have done a 3D search into somebody, it's like a 10-second search on Google and I get an estimated net worth. Not for Klaus Schwab. Because again, the numbers varied greatly. Like I saw like 10 million, 150 million. I don't think those are accurate. Again, this is a man who has a salary annually of $1 million. He also has a lot of investments. So maybe they're saying like liquid, what does he have like on hand in his bank account? Maybe like $150 million. It's certainly not his estimated net worth. So the number that I had found that I thought most accurately represented it was $1.7 billion. Certainly not chump change. Keep this number in mind as well when we get into the energy reading portion on him, because if you are like me, you probably heard that, and that's making you wonder, is he in the club? Don't worry, we get there. But before we do, I have some additional information that I'm going to share with you. Now, in case you are wondering what the World Economic Forum is, I will share that with you. It is an international advocacy, non-governmental organization and think tank based in Geneva, Switzerland. According to the Wikipedia page, its purpose is influencing global agendas and decision-making and lobbying for public-private relations and cooperations. Which sounds great, because I hear co-op, I'm like, oh, like a food co-op? That sounds great. The rest of it just sounds like a bunch of fucking word salad to me. Okay, I think we all know what a think tank is. It's a bunch of people who get paid to sit around and like reimagine some utopian world. International advocacy, non-governmental organization. Okay, what's its purpose? They want to influence worldwide agendas, which has led to them being criticized of calling for the eradication of worldwide borders and for citizens to not actually have any national pride, because we're not gonna like be a citizen of one country. We're gonna be like a so-called global citizen, which sounds great, like, right? Like, who doesn't, like, I would love to be a citizen of like, I don't know, France. That sounds marvelous. Until you actually think about it, the fact that it's calling for the eradication of all worldwide borders. Now, there's a buzzy catchphrase that has also been attached to the World Economic Forum, which is as such. So, was this really said? Is this really an accurate representation of what they stand for? Which the phrase is, quote, "You will own nothing and be happy," end quote. Where did that come from? So, this is a phrase that was adapted from an essay that was written for the World Economic Forum by a presenter at the World Economic Forum, in which they were pondering a future where urban residents would rely on shared services for many expensive items like appliances and vehicles. Now, 2% personal opinion, okay, I can see how a vehicle, a car, could be considered an expensive expense, but then I was like, what's an expensive like appliance? Like a stove? A fridge? So are they kind of like reimagining a world where we all live in apartment buildings and each floor has like a shared communal kitchen? Because to the best of my knowledge, a stove, certainly if you're renting an apartment, it's actually supplied to you when you move in. So is a refrigerator. So I was like, I don't even get all of this. Don't worry, we get into this on the energy reading portion. Again, I remind you, I just picked through the Wikipedia page to kind of like pull out things that I had found meaningful and notable. And I invite you, if you want to check out the Wikipedia page, maybe you will find all of the things that I'm highlighting to be pure rubbish and other things that you yourself find to be interesting. And if you would like to share that, I invite you to comment down below. Now, one last thing that I had found to be of note and interesting. Excuse me while I just wake up my laptop here. Because at this point I was like, I've taken too many notes. My quota of note-taking for the day is done. So, what is actually funding the World Economic Forum? Membership, which is as such. The foundation is funded by its 1,000 member companies or personal members as well that are not associated to any sort of a company. These are typical global enterprises with more than $5 billion in turnover. So you and me, no. we're not invited to be members of the World Economic Forum. We're not getting a personal invitation to attend Davos. No. Now, these enterprises rank among the top companies within their industry and or country, snobbery, i.e., and play a leading role in shaping the future of their industry and or region, i.e., influence. What kind of influence? Social engineering influence that they deem to be appropriate. Kind of also begs the question, do the founders of these corporations and the people that have personal membership to the World Economic Forum, like, does Klaus Schwab question if their salaries are excessively high? Pray tell, Klaus. What else do we know about the membership? Membership is stratified by the level of engagement with forum activities, with the level, this is just a bunch of word salad, blah, blah, blah. So in 2011, an annual membership cost $52,000, and an individual member was $263,000, and a so-called industry partner. So it's like different tiers of membership. The highest tier membership was $527,000. And there was also a personal admission fee to Davos of $19,000. So again, not only are we not invited, but for those people that are invited, when they get there, they have to pay $19,000 just to get in the door at Davos. In 2014, WEF raised their annual fees by 20%. I guess if that's has anything to do with like inflation, or are they just greedy bastards? 2% personal opinion. Bringing the cost for strategic partners up to $523,000. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. The industry partner was $527,000. No. Hold on. First of all, a further 2% personal opinion, they need somebody to rewrite their Wikipedia page because this doesn't make any fucking sense. So, an industry partner was $263,000, and then it rose to $523,000, and the highest level membership rose from $527,000, here we go, to $628,000. That's for your annual membership. Again, also in addition to that, when you get there, it costs $19,000 to just walk in the door. Okay. So again, they have annual meetups, and they have 3,000 participants that are arriving from 110 countries from around the world. So you do the math because I didn't. 3,000 participants that are paying anywhere, they're all paying $19,000 just to walk in the door. In addition to that, they're paying anywhere from just over $250,000 to over $628,000 just for their membership, right? So the World Economic Forum is certainly not suffering, and I remind you they have a tax exemption status. All right, that concludes the laborious and tedious three-dimensional information. We are now going to be getting into the goods that the guides bring. This is the psychic energy reading portion on Klaus Schwab. Here we go. As soon as I had connected to Klaus Schwab's energy, he was shown to me as having an incredibly inflexible mind. And this mental inflexibility was bred from privilege and being an elite. Because I will share with you that as an energy reader, there is a certain arrogance that I have noticed by looking into people's energy that accompanies those with some level of influence. And this also includes actors and actresses. Singers too, where they somehow think that because they are famous and they have money, it means that they are important. But now imagine it's not some sort of a celebrity, an actor, actress, or singer, but it is someone who is deemed to be important, and how much more they by buying into their own so-called greatness, how much more profound the sense of arrogance and self-importance would actually be. Because this is somebody that when he enters a room, people stop, they pay attention to him, and they listen to what he has to say. And imagine then what that is going to do to somebody's head. Now, we're going to juxtapose this to the so-called influence that actors and actresses and singers have, because they might be more paid attention to due to the fact that they have some sort of a talent or a skill set. They can reach incredible ranges with their vocal cords. They're beautiful, according to Marilyn Manson, they're the beautiful people, right? So they wield some sort of power and influence, but that is rooted into talent, skill, or beauty. But for somebody like Klaus Schwab, it's actually associated to his influence into the world. Because that's Klaus. He really has allowed the so-called influence that he wields to get to his head. He is arrogant because he thinks he's important. But the only reason people think he actually is important is because of his money. So his influence in the 3D material world is really just a symptom of one of the problems of the 3D as whole, which is we place meaning and value and importance into how much money somebody is worth. And even according to Klaus, it's somebody's meaning and value to the World Economic Forum is how young they are, how much life force, vitality they have to put into their job. Do they have other things at home like children that are going to compete with the amount of productivity that they can apply to their job? So he is all about the matrix. He is all about 3D material gains, and specifically, what is the amount of value that his employees can bring to the company? So understanding that as a whole is actually going to explain how he is a vibrational match for the fact that other people around him deem him to be somebody that is meaningful and important because of the fact that he has money. Like attracts like. Somebody that applies more meaning and value to the matrix is going to apply other subsequential people around him that also apply meaning and value to the matrix. So yes, his influence is really just a symptom of one of the problems with the 3D as a whole. Now, it was also shown to me that he is not very creative. Really not. He is not a creative thinker. He is not an out-of-the-box thinker. Nor is he, in fact, actually intelligent. Because true intelligence requires that one look at things objectively and have the ability to change their mind as the facts and the information change, which Klaus cannot do. He has a very fixed, inflexible mindset, and when he comes to some sort of a conclusion, his mind cannot be changed. It does not matter how much information will subsequently come out that will debunk the conclusion that he has come to, it will not change his mind. So imagine going back a couple of years to what had happened after the George Floyd incident, where you could drive around in a neighborhood and you would see people that have signs that say, in this house, we believe that all people matter. We believe that in this house, we trust science. You know those signs? So this would be akin to the kind of person who has that kind of sign on their yard and it says, we trust science. But these are the same people that fail to trust science when the science changes and it no longer supports the conclusion that they themselves had come to. So this might be, for example, the kind of people that are still wearing masks when they go grocery shopping, or even if they're driving alone in their car, and they still go for their annual C19 shots, the Jabadoodles, and the boosters as well. And it's also the kind of person that is going to think that we are all insane for being shot-free, for not wearing masks, because according to them, we are putting our lives at risk every time we leave our house. So it's kind of a person that has gotten stuck somewhere with their thinking, just like Klaus Schwab did. But in Klaus Schwab's case, the reason he got stuck with his thinking is not endemic of a societal and social problem that was conditioned into their brain by the news bleeding on ad nauseum about how many people have C19 and how many people have crossed over due to C19. In his case, it's endemic of the fact that he is an inflexible thinker and he wields influence due to the fact that he has money. And he's not a creative thinker either. So this is really Klaus's thinking. He got stuck somewhere along the way, but it's not about C19, but more akin to global warming and overpopulation and how 99% of the population are the actual problems of the world, and we pose the biggest threats. Why do we pose the biggest threat to the world? It's due to the fact that there are so much more of us than the 1%ers that he himself associates with and hobnobs with. So in his mind, it's not him or his friends that are posing the biggest global risk, even though when they fly to Davos annually, again, they're all showing up in their own personal planes. It's due to the fact that there's so many more of us than there are of him and his ilk. What else is posing a big problem? Red meat consumption. So I was not actually able to see where he actually had said, and I kind of make fun of him. I did not actually see anywhere online that he actually said we will eat as bugs and we will like them. But here's the thing. The World Economic Forum has certainly pushed for the 99%ers to start eating things like crickets. Not making this up. Because crickets have a really high protein intake, but it's a really renewable and viable source, and they're also not straining the global industry the way red meat does. Does it stop Klaus Schwab from eating red meat? No. He just thinks we should stop eating red meat. Or certainly we should offset some of our red meat consumption with more cricket consumption. They should not stop flying their personal planes because there's only 1% of them, but we should start to reevaluate how much of our travel is necessary because there's so many of us that fly on an airplane, certainly not annually. But we are the problem due to the virtue of the fact of how much more of us there are than them. And Klaus Schwab was shown to me as being somebody that will look for confirmation biases to support his conclusions. And he will reject any and all follow-up subsequent information that does not support the conclusion that he had already come to. Because again, inflexible thinker. So, for example, he would go to Beijing, China to see examples of overpopulation and overcrowding. And he would use that to say, there's just too many people that live in cities right now. But his solution would not necessarily be to go out to the Chinese countryside and see how much more space there in fact actually is where people can spread out. Because that would not fall in alignment with the foregone conclusion that he had already come to, which is there is overcrowding and overpopulation in the world. Now, I'm going to actually share with you something that was in one of Pip's books, which I'm actually kind of supplementing Klaus Schwab's foregone conclusion with 3D information that actually exists out in the world. And here's also the thing. I'm obviously not arguing with Klaus Schwab's energy because this was all shared with me when I was looking into his energy. I'm just sharing it because it fell into my head right now, and you guys know when something falls into my head, it's a clear indication from my guides, it's something that I am meant to share with you. So I live in Los Angeles, California. And this is something that was in one of my son's books. The entire world population, which as of 2025 exceeds 8 billion people, all 8 billion people could live in Los Angeles. I'm sorry, they couldn't live here. We could all 8 billion of it, it's like, it would kind of be overcrowded, but we could all fit here. Come on over, everybody. We can all stand shoulder to shoulder, and the entire population of the world, in excess of 8 billion people, we could all fit standing shoulder to shoulder in Los Angeles. So this is one city in one state in one country of the world. So is there really overpopulation if we could all actually fit in one city, in one state, in one country? Because according to Klaus Schwab, no. Because he's going to look for a confirmation bias that's going to support his conclusion, which is there is overpopulation and there is overcrowding. Because he's going to go to a city like Beijing and he's going to be like, there's just too many people here. So clearly there's too many people in the world. Never you mind, he could get in his car and he could drive out to the Chinese countryside and see there is an abundance of space that people could actually move out into. But that would not support his conclusion. And while he is in Beijing, China, he will also be sure to go to the finest restaurant that he could, because he can, and he will have no qualms about spending $10K on a fabulous dinner. But he would never dream of taking that same $10,000 and giving it to a local shelter or a charity, because again, remember, to him, we are the problem. So he certainly doesn't want to help the people that are the problem. And now I'm also going to share with you, there's a similarity with Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates. Because I have looked into Bill Gates in the past for a previous segment in an AMA, which was very, very insightful. And I will share that AMA down below if you would like to go back and view it to get a little further context. But there's a similarity in the way that Klaus Schwab's mind works and how it actually is similar to the way that Bill Gates' mind works, which I'm going to say that it is some sort of a mind dysfunction. Now, these are my words. Certainly, Bill Gates doesn't think he suffers from a mind dysfunction, nor does Klaus Schwab. But I will. Now, why did I come to the conclusion that it's some sort of a mind dysfunction? Because when I had looked into Bill Gates, what had come in was that he believes himself to be special because he has money. And because he has money and he is therefore special, it stands to reason that other people with money are also special. But the conclusion that he came to is that anyone without money is not special. And we are not special because we don't have money. This is why it's a mind dysfunction, because he's assigning all meaning and value that people have to how much money they actually have or what their estimated net worth is. That's it. So this is not a person that sees us all as being the children of God and we all have unique and meaning purposes in being here. No. There is no recognition of our inherent value because we are children of God. It's all connected to the Benjamins. So it's a mind dysfunction in correlation to the 3D material world. That is why he is similar to Klaus Schwab, because Klaus Schwab too only sees inherent meaning and value in association to the output that a person can contribute into the 3D material world. So in Bill Gates' mind, this had created some sort of a break with not reality, like he is connected to the reality of the world, but he sees it through a distorted lens of people's inherent value being connected to the money that they have. And in absence of money, it's an indication of a lack of specialty or them being special in their own right. So this is similar to a scene in the movie The Matrix, how the agent Smith, when talking to Morpheus, speaks about humanity, in which we are the sickness upon the world, and they, as in the agent Smiths, or in this case, we could say the elites, they are the saviors of the world, because we are the virus. Yes, I know, Bill Gates has a computer program that's supposed to clean up computer viruses. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But despite our so-called sickness in the world and how we are the virus, this did not stop the agent Smiths in the movie The Matrix from using us to feed the system. Because guys, if you have not seen The Matrix, please, when you're done with this video, go back and rewatch it. And if you haven't, I'm going to give you a crash course on what it's about. The entire reality that people live in is actually some sort of a simulation. None of it is real. It's a program that is implanted into our mind. What actually is real in the movie The Matrix is that we are all hooked up to some sort of a system at our neck. Nobody is out there in the world doing things, right? So like in the simulation of my life, I would be sitting here talking to you guys on YouTube. In reality, I am hooked up to some sort of a system that is siphoning my life force energy out of me to feed the system. So it's like, what is it? Are we actually a virus? Because if we're a virus, why would you want to siphon our life force energy off of us, right? So they, in the delineation and the break in this kind of mind virus thinking, they can still think that we are the problem, we are the virus, but they also have no problem using us to feed the matrix, to feed the system. Now, this is also directly connected to Bill Gates, because we are not special, according to him. Therefore, because we are not special, he had no problem using us unknowingly for his social and scientific experiments. Because what is he known for doing? His big agenda to make people's lives better was to go to countries where there is poverty and to go to a lot of underprivileged locations, and he was going to give people jabadoodles. It wasn't to give them clean water, because I'm sure that would actually eradicate a lot of diseases, right? It wasn't to eradicate homelessness. No, it was to jabadoodle citizens of the globe. That was his big initiative, and that was his big push. So he had no problem using us for his global agendas. Because again, in case you don't know this, Bill Gates has an estimated net worth of $100 billion. $100 billion. Think of all the good that he could do with $100 billion. Again, running water, eradicating homelessness, building housing, building schools. No, it was to use people as lab rats. Because we're not special. We're just useful. So again, Bill Gates is somebody that could, here's the thing, guys, I'm half reading my notes and I'm half just sharing with you what I remember, because I read this right before I went on. So that's why it's not as concise as it usually is, because I'm not strictly going off of my notes, which is why I'm kind of tending to repeat myself. Excuse me, I'm a real person living a real life. It's not a fucking simulation. It's not, in case you're worried. We're really alive. So yes, Bill Gates, with an estimated net worth of $100 billion, imagine the actual good he could do in the world. He alone could eradicate all homelessness. He alone could eradicate most diseases in the world, not by jabadooding people up, but by creating clean water in their towns. But why would he bother to do that for the unspecial plebs that we are? We're not special, so he doesn't really want to make our lives better. Because again, making somebody's lives better, taking them off of the street, cleaning them up and getting them to kick the drug habit, giving them clean running water, giving them an education, giving them some sort of a hope in the world. But no, because we're the unspecial plebs. He's not really looking to make our lives better. This is a sentiment that is shared by Klaus Schwab. Why provide better and more sustainable farming and agriculture practices for us? We're the problem. There's too many of us. So in Klaus Schwab's mind, the solution is to take away meat from the rest of us, or at least take away part of our meat consumption and instead get us to eat crickets. Yummy! Instead of helping make things more affordable, right? Like instead of helping make cars more affordable so more people can afford them, they're talking about the fact that it's too much money, so they want us all to live cooperatively and share all of the resources that are currently available. So instead of helping us and make things more affordable and making sure people are financially compensated in a way that can give us a better quality of life, the solution is to make us all the same and provide government-issued clothing and furniture. Because yes, this was shown to me as something that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum definitely want for us. So whether or not he said we will eat the bugs and we will like them, he sure as hell does not want there to be variety in terms of the way that we dress. Because the clothing is not sustainable. The practices in which the cotton is sourced is not sustainable. Is that going to stop him from wearing a $5,000 suit? No. You're the problem. You there wearing a $25 Gap t-shirt, you're the problem, not Klaus Schwab. So he wants to take away all of the variety that we have and make us all the same with government-issued clothing and government-issued furniture. Because guess what, guys? Your wood console that your TV sits on, it wasn't sustainably sourced. Your sofa that is stuffed with synthetic materials, the material on the outside of the sofa was not sustainably sourced either. The meat that we eat, that's not sustainably sourced either. Not going to stop him from eating the meat, they just want to take it away from us. All of this stems from a complete lack of mental flexibility. He's right, as in Klaus Schwab and his conclusions are right, because this is what he believes, and everywhere he goes, he is surrounded by sycophants that believe what he says because money. Because I remind you, his influence is endemic of a larger problem, which is the 3D and how much meaning and value we put into people that has money. So it's not just Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab that have this, what did I call it? It's not just them that have a mind dysfunction. It's all of the fucking sycophants around the world that also look up to Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates because they have money. Again, like attracts like, I remind you. Now, Klaus Schwab also happens to be speaking the approved narrative, which is overpopulation, there's too many of us, right? We're the problem, us getting on an airplane for our occasional travel, us eating occasional red meat, we're the problem. So he happens to be speaking the approved narrative, but not because Klaus Schwab is from one of the 13 bloodline families, because he is not. It is also not because Klaus Schwab is in the club. Dun, 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 the plot thickens. Because while I am certainly not suggesting that $1.7 billion is a small sum of money, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually not. It's actually not a big sum of money. Here's why. There are, as of 2024, over 2,700 billionaires. 2,700. Now, their estimated net worth goes from 1 billion, which would, of course, classify them as a billionaire, all the way up to many, 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 many hundreds of billions of dollars. Bill Gates being one of them, estimated net worth of $100 billion, right? Jeff Bezos, I think his estimated net worth, he has, it's so perverse, I'm sorry. His estimated net worth is over $500 billion. So in the grand scheme of things, somebody like Klaus Schwab with an estimated net worth of $1.7 billion, he's like a nothing. He's like a fucking nothing burger. Yes, to you and me and to millionaires, we'd be like, oh my God, like $1.7 billion, holy fucking hell. To somebody that's worth $500 billion, he's a fucking nothing. He's a fucking nobody. To the Rothschilds, who have, I think, like $300 trillion worth of estimated net worth, fucking Klaus Schwab, who is he? He's a fucking pauper. He's like a pleb, like we are plebs to Bill Gates. So in the grand scheme of things, with over 2,700 billionaires as of 2024, his estimated net worth of $1.7 billion is not that remarkable. So believe it or not, Klaus Schwab is not that unique. What he is to those above him that wield true power, they look at Klaus Schwab as nothing more than a useful idiot. Now, what is a useful idiot if this is the first time you're hearing this terminology? In the past, when I have looked into celebrities, they were shown to me as being useful idiots because they stay within the lines, they say what they're supposed to say, they parrot the approved narrative. That's kind of exactly what Klaus Schwab is doing. So just like the celebrities are useful idiots, Klaus Schwab actually is too. And his sexual predilections too are not that crazy compared to what we know about Anderson Cooper's family. And if you know, you know, it's one of my members' exclusive videos, or the hunting parties that the true elites engage in. Because it was shown to me that Klaus Schwab, yes, he likes them a little bit young, but not underage. He likes early 20-year-old men. So yes, I know he's married. Yes, I know he has kids. That's the beard. That's the socially acceptable. Or that's, I wanted to have kids, so I married this woman. It's not where he really feels pulled to. He likes men in their early 20s, blonde hair, blue eyes, and in shape. So in other words, he likes his men Aryan looking. I remind you, he's also German. He has a type. His type, the German type. The kind of type that Adolf Hitler wanted more of in the world. And yes, while Klaus Schwab has heard a thing or two about what the true elite do, i.e. hunting parties, he does not think much about it. Because in a way, he looks at it like they're doing their part to thin the herd, right? Because according to Klaus Schwab, there's too many of us and we are the problem. So the elites and their hunting parties are doing their part in thinning the herd of the 99 percenters and the undesirable people. But Klaus Schwab would not engage in it because from his point of view, the elites are playing with street rats. And that's just unseemly to him. He likes 20-year-old men, blonde hair, blue eyes, good looking, and in shape. So he does not want to play with an 8-year-old street urchin from his point of view from Taiwan. So that's why he doesn't do what the elites do. So it's not like they have anything extraordinary about him in terms of his extracurricular activities that could be used against him to get him to stay in line. They don't need to because he's already in line. He is already sharing the approved viewpoint and the approved talking points. But to him, it is not in fact a talking point because he really does believe everything that he says. Right? He's going to look for the confirmation biases about overpopulation in the world. So they do not need to hold something above his head to get him to stay in line because Klaus Schwab already is in line. But he's already in line because of his inflexible thinking. He will never stop saying there's an overpopulation problem in the world because to him there is. So is Klaus Schwab in the club? No. Is he a useful idiot to the club? Yes. Unequivocally, yes. So one could say he's in the club without really being in the club. He's like, if you will, club adjacent. He's like a friend of the club, but he's not actually in the club. And the reason he's not actually in the club is because, again, I remind you, over 2,700 billionaires, he is like at the lowest level of the billionaires. $1.7 billion estimated net worth. It's fucking nothing to them. And because he genuinely and truly believes the narrative that they are pushing and all of the talking points that they believe in, he already believes it because of his inflexible mind. So he's just a useful idiot. Certainly, he is somebody that other people that have less money than him are going to look up to him. So they don't need to welcome him into the club because he's already saying all the right things and he already believes all the right things. And Klaus Schwab will never stop saying we should eat the bugs and like them. Whether or not he actually said it, the sentiment is the same. We're the problem, not him. Our meat consumption is the problem, not his. More of us than him and his kind. He really does think that we are the problem, so all of his solutions will revolve around disempowering us. So yeah, he's a useful idiot because he wants to disempower us just like the elites want to disempower us, and just like all of those in the club and the 13 bloodline families want to disempower us. Plus, to a whole bunch of people around him with even less money than him, but probably still millionaires, his word is the gospel. So they have no need to do away with him because he's useful. He's a useful idiot. Again, inflexible mind, but a person who nonetheless says and does all the right things. But still, just an idiot to those with real power, real influence, and even real money. So that is concluding the energy reading portion into Klaus Schwab. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and found it to be maybe interesting, maybe insightful or thought-provoking. I remind you to please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And as always, and until next time, this is your reminder to stay in the high vibration.